AITA for refusing to host my brother's wedding after he excluded my fiancé from the guest list. So, this has been a mess for a while, and I need to get some outside perspective because family drama is really clouding my judgment. I, 29F, have been with my fiancé, 31M, for almost 3 years now. We've been living together for about 2.5 years, and everything has been great. My brother, 33M, who's always been a bit difficult, but I've tried to keep things civil with, recently got engaged and asked me to be the maid of honor, which I was genuinely excited about. I thought this was a step toward repairing some of the strained relationships in our family. Here's the thing. My fiancé and I live together, and we're pretty serious about getting married ourselves within the next year or two. My brother has always been somewhat traditional and has expressed in the past that he doesn't really approve of my fiancé because of his career choice and, frankly, because he doesn't fit the image my brother wants to project. My fiancé is a graphic designer who works freelance, and while he makes a decent living, he doesn't have a corporate job or anything that my brother would consider respectable. Now, when my brother and his fiancée started planning their wedding, I was happy to help with the planning, since we've done stuff like this for other friends and family members before. But then, about 3 months ago, my brother called me and said something that completely threw me off. He was going to exclude my fiancé from the guest list. He told me that he didn't want any drama at the wedding and that my fiancé's lifestyle and friends might cause issues with some of the other guests. This felt very vague and frankly hurtful, since my fiancé is a respectful and kind person who's never caused any problems. I tried to talk to my brother about it, asking for clarification or trying to understand what exactly he meant by lifestyle and friends, but he was pretty evasive and told me it wasn't up for discussion. He said this was his day, and he had the right to decide who comes. I told him that my fiancé is a big part of my life, and it would be really hurtful to be there without him, but he just repeated that he wanted no drama. I spoke with my fiancé about it, and he was understandably upset, but told me to do what I thought was right. I thought long and hard about it, and decided I wouldn't attend the wedding if my fiancé wasn't invited. I let my brother know this a few weeks ago, and since then, the family has been split. Some relatives say I'm being petty and ruining my brother's day, while others say I have every right to stand up for my relationship and refuse to be treated like a second-class citizen. My brother and his fiancé have now accused me of trying to control their wedding and have cut me out of the planning entirely. They've said that if I don't show up without my fiancé, it's my loss and I'm choosing my man over family. Meanwhile, my fiancé is supportive but hurt because he's never even met my brother's fiancé, and the whole situation feels like a big insult. I've been trying to keep the peace, but the family is divided and it's been really stressful. I want to respect my brother's wishes for his wedding, but I also don't want to be treated like my relationship is invalid. So, AITA for refusing to attend my brother's wedding if my fiancé isn't invited? Or should I just go to support my brother and ignore this slight? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to let my sister bring her emotional support dog to my wedding, even though it caused a huge family fallout. This is a long one, so bear with me. I, 29F, am getting married in about 3 months. My fiancé, 31M, and I have been planning the wedding for almost a year now, and we are both really excited. We wanted a relatively small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family. I have a sister, Sarah, 27F, who has been a significant source of stress around the wedding planning, and it all revolves around her emotional support dog. A bit of background. Sarah has struggled with anxiety and depression for years. Recently, she got an emotional support dog, a small rescue terrier named Max. The dog is a registered ESA, and Sarah claims that Max helps her manage her mental health symptoms significantly. I don't doubt that she needs support and that the dog means a lot to her. When we were finalizing the guest list and venue, I informed Sarah about the wedding details. The venue has a strict no pets policy, and honestly, I didn't want any animals there due to allergies among some guests and just the general logistics. My fiancé and I worked hard to make the day comfortable for everyone, including having a kid-friendly space and accommodating dietary restrictions. When Sarah asked if Max could come, I explained the no pets rule and that it would be difficult to make an exception. I offered to help her find someone to watch Max for the day or arrange a pet sitter nearby. She got visibly upset and said that Max is not just a pet. He is her emotional support animal and that having him with her is essential for her mental well-being. She also said she had already talked to the venue, and they said something about needing documentation to allow the dog. I told her I'd be happy to see the documentation, but the venue policy was strict and that my priority was the comfort of all guests. Sarah said it felt like I was trying to exclude her and that I wasn't being understanding of her condition. Over the next few weeks, this topic kept coming up in family chats and phone calls. My parents tried to mediate but seemed to side more with Sarah, saying that I should make exceptions for mental health reasons. I tried explaining that it was not about denying her or her dog, but about the venue's rules and other guests' needs. Eventually, Sarah threatened she might not come to the wedding if Max couldn't come with her. She even posted about it on social media, indirectly blaming me for being unsupportive and rigid. That made me uncomfortable because I don't want family drama spilling publicly. Last weekend, Sarah came over to discuss it in person. She was very emotional and said that if Max isn't allowed, she might never speak to me again. I tried to find compromises, like having Max wait in a quiet room with a sitter and Sarah visiting him during breaks, but she said that defeats the purpose of having him with her all the time. My fiancé was also frustrated because this drama is taking a toll on our wedding plans. He suggested I stand firm on the no pets policy because it's not a small issue and I shouldn't cave under pressure. Now, Sarah has cut contact with me, and my parents are upset with me. I feel torn between supporting my sister and sticking to the wedding plans that are important to me and my fiancé. I think it's a reasonable boundary given the circumstances, but I'm starting to wonder if I'm the asshole for not being more accommodating. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my sister bring her emotional support dog to my wedding. AITA for refusing to let my sister move in with me after she blew up her own life, and everyone says I'm being heartless. So I, 32F, own a small house that I bought about 3 years ago after working my butt off through my 20s. I'm not rich, but I'm stable. I work in IT, live pretty frugally, and I'm proud that I finally have my own space that isn't a shoebox apartment. My sister, 29F, let's call her Jenna, is the opposite. She's always been impulsive, emotional, and the kind of person who thinks things will just work out. Sometimes they do, but usually because someone else bails her out. Jenna has always had this big, main character energy. She dropped out of college to travel, started a bunch of side hustles that never took off, and has had more jobs than I can count. She's fun, charismatic, and people are drawn to her, but she's also wildly irresponsible. Every time she gets into trouble, someone, usually my parents, swoops in to fix it. Earlier this year, she started dating this guy, Matt. He's a musician, translation, unemployed 80% of the time, and they moved in together after like 2 months. My parents told her it was too fast, but she said they were soulmates, and that people who didn't believe in love were just jaded. She posted all over social media about how amazing their connection was, how he understood her on a cellular level, and how they were going to start a podcast together about love and art or something. Predictably, it crashed and burned. A few weeks ago, Matt cheated on her with one of her friends, and when Jenna confronted him, he told her she was too intense. She went nuclear. Apparently, she threw his laptop out a window and poured paint on his guitar. He kicked her out, and because the apartment lease was under his name, she had nowhere to go. My parents are currently traveling for 3 months. They're semi-retired and on a long RV trip. So Jenna called me in tears asking if she could stay just for a few weeks until she figured things out. Now, here's the thing. I love my sister, but I've hosted her before, and it was a nightmare. The last time she stayed with me, she borrowed my clothes and stained them, left dishes everywhere, had random people over without asking, and smoked inside even though I explicitly told her not to. She also never contributed to groceries or utilities because she said she was in between gigs. She left after 2 months, and it took me weeks to get my house back to normal. So when she called, I told her I didn't think it was a good idea. I reminded her of what happened last time and said that I'd be happy to help her find a short-term rental or even chip in for a motel for a week or two, but I didn't want her staying with me. She started crying and accused me of abandoning her in her lowest moment. She said she had nowhere else to go and that I was being cold and transactional. I told her it wasn't about money. It was about boundaries. She hung up on me and then posted this long thing on social media about how some people only love you when you're doing well and that family should mean something. Of course, half our relatives saw it and reached out to me. My aunt texted saying she couldn't believe I was letting my own sister be homeless. My cousin commented something about how blood is thicker than water. Even my mom, when I managed to get in touch with her, told me I could at least let Jenna crash for a few days until they get back. I told my mom that a few days would turn into weeks or months. She said I was catastrophizing and that Jenna was really hurting right now. But the thing is, Jenna is always hurting right now. Every crisis is treated like the end of the world, and every time someone helps her, she never learns from it. I honestly think part of why she never stabilizes is because she always has a soft place to land. It's not like I didn't offer help. I sent her links to short-term rentals, offered to drive her stuff to storage, and even Venmo'd her some money so she could pay for a few nights in a cheap motel. But apparently, that's not the same as being there for her. She texted me saying she couldn't believe I'd rather let a stranger profit off her suffering than let her sleep on my couch. I didn't respond because anything I say just makes her spiral more. Now, I'm the villain of the family group chat. My aunt even offered to take Jenna in, but Jenna refused because she doesn't vibe with that part of town. So, she's apparently staying with some friends and couch hopping, but still posting about how she's been betrayed by those closest to her. The kicker? A mutual friend told me that Jenna has been telling people that I chose my cat over her, because when she asked if she could bring her dog, I said absolutely not. My cat is terrified of dogs. So now people think I literally prioritize my pet over my sister's well-being. I'm torn because part of me feels awful. She's my sister, and I know she's in a rough spot emotionally. But another part of me is just done. Every time I've tried to help, it's ended with me exhausted, resentful, and cleaning up after her chaos. I worked hard for the peace I have in my home, and I don't want to lose it again. I also know that if I give in, she'll take it as proof that I'll always cave and nothing will change. My boyfriend, who doesn't live with me but spend a few nights a week here, supports my decision. He said it's like I'm being emotionally blackmailed by my family and that I need to stop letting guilt dictate my boundaries. But when I told my mom that, she said that was cold and unfeeling, and that someday I'll need help and regret pushing people away. I honestly don't know anymore. Part of me thinks maybe I should just let her stay for a week to keep the peace, but another part of me knows that peace will vanish the second she walks through my door. She's already framed this as me being cruel, and if I cave now, I'll just reinforce that the way to get what she wants is to guilt trip me. So, AITA for refusing to let my sister move in with me, even though she's in a bad situation. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she disinvited my entire family over a petty argument. I'm 28F, and this situation has been tearing my family apart for months now. I never imagined I'd be writing one of these posts, but here we are. My sister, Emma, is 30F. She's always been the more dramatic sibling, if I'm honest. Growing up, we never had the closest relationship, but we always managed to stay civil for family events. That all changed when she got engaged last year. Emma's fiancé, Jake, 32M, is a nice enough guy, but he and my family have never really gotten along. Nothing major, just minor disagreements and different personalities clashing. My parents have never liked Jake's laid-back attitude, and Jake thinks my family is way too controlling. The tension has always been manageable, but now it's become unbearable. About 2 months ago, Emma announced her wedding date and venue. The wedding is supposed to be a big, fancy affair at an upscale hotel downtown. She asked me to be one of her bridesmaids, which I was happy to do, despite not being super close to her. I was excited to help make her day special. A few weeks later, the drama started. My parents had a minor disagreement with Jake's family at a dinner Emma hosted to try to bring everyone together. The argument was mostly about seating arrangements and some comments that were taken the wrong way. No physical fights or anything serious, just a tense evening. Emma was furious at my parents for ruining the dinner. She said they were being rude and disrespectful to Jake's family, and that if they behaved like that at her wedding, she wouldn't tolerate it. She told my parents to get it together, or they weren't welcome at the wedding. My parents, understandably upset, apologized to Emma and Jake multiple times. They even offered to sit separately from Jake's family during the wedding to avoid any issues. Emma brushed it off and said she had made up her mind. Then came a bombshell. Emma told me she was going to disinvite my entire family, my parents, my younger brother, and even our grandparents. The reason? She claimed their behavior was toxic, and she didn't want them at her wedding. I was shocked and begged her to reconsider, reminding her that this was supposed to be a happy occasion where family comes together. Emma doubled down. She said if I wanted to attend the wedding, I had to come alone. No family, no drama. She said she wanted a peaceful day and that my family was not part of that vision. I felt stuck. I tried to mediate, talk to my parents and Emma separately, but nothing changed. My parents were heartbroken, feeling betrayed and humiliated. My grandparents were upset too. Meanwhile, Emma accused me of taking my family's side and not supporting her. Eventually, I told Emma that I couldn't attend her wedding without my family. I refused to be the one who caused a family divide, just so she could have a perfect day. I told her that if she wanted me there, she had to accept my family as well. Emma responded by removing me from the bridesmaids list and uninviting me from the wedding altogether. She said I was being unreasonable and that she hoped I'd rethink my decision. Now, the whole family is in shambles. My parents are devastated and have stopped speaking to Emma. My grandparents are caught in the middle. Even my brother, who was indifferent before, is angry with Emma. I've received messages from mutual relatives telling me to fix this and that I'm too stubborn. I'm not sure if I'm the asshole here. I wanted to support my sister, but I also couldn't just abandon my family on her wedding day. I feel like Emma's demands were unreasonable, but maybe I'm being selfish by not attending alone. So, AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding after she disinvited my whole family over a minor argument. AITA for refusing to let my brother's new wife throw a massive wedding anniversary party at my house, even though it would bring the family together. This has been a months-long ordeal, and honestly, I'm exhausted, but here goes. I, 34F, live in a medium-sized city, in a house I bought about 3 years ago. It's a modest but comfortable place, and I'm proud of it because I saved and worked hard to get it. My brother, James, 38M, recently got married to his wife, Emily, 35F, after dating for about a year. James and I have always had a bit of a strained relationship, mostly because of how he's always been competitive and somewhat dismissive of me. Emily is a bubbly, outgoing person who's very social, but she and I have never really clicked. So, here's where it all starts. A few months ago, Emily approached me with this big idea. She wanted to throw a huge party at my house to celebrate her and James's first wedding anniversary. The party would have about 50 people, including family, friends, and even some coworkers. Emily said it would be the perfect way to bring everyone together and a great opportunity for us all to bond. She pitched it as a casual but festive event. Drinks, food, music, the works. They were thinking of having it on a Saturday night in a couple of months. At first, I was taken aback. I barely knew most of these people, and honestly, I'm not the party hosting type. My home is my sanctuary, a quiet place where I can decompress after a hectic week. Hosting a large party is stressful, and I don't like the idea of so many strangers in my personal space. Also, the timing was not great. I have a demanding job and was already planning a few personal trips. But because I didn't want to hurt Emily's feelings or cause drama with James, I said I'd think about it. When I told James, he was neutral, but said it was up to me since it's my house. Emily, however, kept messaging me, sending links to caterers, DJs, and decorations. She even started dropping hints about the importance of family and how everyone was excited about the party. I felt pressured, but still hesitant. I tried to explain that hosting a large event in my home was not something I was comfortable with, especially on short notice. She responded by saying it was only once, and I should just relax and have fun. At this point, I decided to lay out some conditions. I told Emily and James that if they wanted to have the party at my place, they'd have to handle all the logistics, food, cleaning, decorations, and I'd prefer it if the party ended by 11 p.m. because I have neighbors who might complain. I also requested a security deposit in case anything got damaged. Emily's tone shifted. She said it felt like I didn't want the family to get together, and James said I was being unreasonable and selfish. Emily argued that my house was the perfect venue and that it would be a nice change from the usual restaurant celebrations they'd had before. She also suggested I was overreacting about damage and noise. I stuck to my conditions, explaining it was my home and my rules. Weeks went by with a lot of back and forth. Eventually, Emily and James invited me to their home to discuss things in person. They both tried to guilt-trip me, saying it was only one night, that family was important, and that I was the only one standing in the way of what could be a memorable event. Emily mentioned how hurt she was, how she had been looking forward to this, and that it was disrespectful to say no. I told them again that it wasn't personal, but I wasn't comfortable hosting a large party. Then things escalated. James sent me a group chat message with several family members, including our parents, aunts, uncles, explaining the situation and asking why I was refusing to support family unity. Some family members sided with James and Emily, saying I should just be generous and let them use my home. Others were more neutral, but the pressure was intense. I started feeling overwhelmed and isolated. After that, Emily tried to organize the party without my permission, hiring a caterer and a DJ, and sending out invites that said party at my address. I immediately told them they could not use my home without explicit consent. I also informed the caterer and DJ that the event was canceled. They apologized and stopped the booking. At this point, James and Emily cut off contact with me for a week, and our family gatherings became tense. My parents tried to mediate, but Emily accused them of enabling me. I'm really hurt because I want to maintain family peace, but I can't compromise my boundaries and home comfort. Now, the anniversary is approaching, and I've made it clear I won't be hosting the party. James and Emily said they'll just have it at a restaurant or venue elsewhere. But apparently, they've been telling family that I ruined their celebration and refused to support them. Some family members have been messaging me, asking me to reconsider or apologizing for the drama. I don't want to be the villain here, but I feel like Emily and James didn't respect my home or my feelings. AITA for refusing to host a large party that I'm uncomfortable with, even though it's for a family celebration? Should I just have let it happen to keep the peace? Or is it reasonable to expect respect for my boundaries and space? Thanks for reading. AITA for refusing to forgive my sister after she ruined my wedding by inviting an ex I explicitly told her not to bring. This has been eating at me for months, and I need some outside perspective because my family is split on this, and I honestly don't know if I'm the asshole or not. I, 29F, got married about 6 months ago to my now husband, Jake, 30M. We've been together for 5 years and finally decided to tie the knot in a medium-sized ceremony with close family and friends. It was a dream wedding for me. Everything was planned carefully, and I was really clear with my sister, Amy, 27F, from the start about some important boundaries. Amy and I have always had a complicated relationship. We're close in age and grew up very competitive, but we're trying to get better as adults. Still, there are things she does that drive me up the wall, and I knew my wedding was going to be one of those tests. A big part of the problem was Amy's ex-boyfriend, Mark. Mark and Amy dated for a couple of years and broke up about a year before my wedding. The breakup was messy. Mark cheated on Amy multiple times, lied about things, and generally caused a lot of drama. Amy was heartbroken, but eventually moved on. The thing is, Mark has never stopped trying to insert himself into Amy's life, and by extension, our family's life. He's shown up uninvited to family gatherings, messaged me and Jake repeatedly, and even tried to get invited to parties that Amy specifically told him not to come to. Everyone in the family, except Amy, thinks Mark is toxic and that he needs to be cut out completely. Before the wedding, I told Amy in no uncertain terms that Mark was not allowed to be there. I wasn't going to have my special day ruined by someone who had hurt my sister and was so disrespectful to all of us. Amy agreed, said she understood, and promised me Mark wouldn't be anywhere near the ceremony or reception. Fast forward to the wedding day. Everything was going perfectly. Beautiful venue, lovely ceremony, good vibes. Then, about halfway through the reception, I noticed Amy acting strange and avoiding me. That's when I saw Mark walking in. He wasn't on the guest list, no one had invited him, and Amy had clearly snuck him in. I confronted her right then and there in front of a bunch of guests, and she told me to calm down and that she wanted to prove a point. Apparently, Amy wanted to show that Mark was not the monster everyone made him out to be, and she believed bringing him to the wedding would force us to see him differently. She said she thought I was being unfair and that the whole family was too harsh on him. She said I was being selfish and controlling by not letting him come. I was mortified and furious. I asked her to leave immediately, but she refused until Jake stepped in and escorted Mark out. The damage was done, though. People were whispering pictures had been taken, and my happy day felt tainted. After the wedding, the family split into camps. Some said Amy was just trying to stand up for herself, and that I was too rigid and unforgiving. Others said Amy was disrespectful and that I had every right to be angry and upset. Amy cut off contact with me and has barely spoken to the family since. I still feel betrayed and hurt, but some friends have said maybe I was too harsh by completely refusing to forgive Amy or even talk to her. My parents think I should reach out and try to fix things, but I honestly don't know if I can. So Reddit, AITA for refusing to forgive my sister for ruining my wedding by bringing her ex against my wishes? Should I have been more understanding? Or was Amy completely out of line? AITA for refusing to let my sister-in-law's daughter live with us after she was kicked out of her mom's house? This whole situation has torn my family apart, and I'm still not sure if I'm the asshole here or if I'm justified. I've been going over the event in my head repeatedly, hoping to see where I went wrong, but I'm also convinced that I stood my ground for a good reason. I, 38M, have been married to my wife, Sarah, 36F, for 12 years. We have 2 kids, ages 8 and 5, and live in a nice suburban neighborhood. My brother, Mike, 40M, has been married to his wife, Rachel, 39F, for about 15 years. They have 2 daughters, Emma, 17, and Lily, 15. The trouble began about 2 months ago when Mike and Rachel got into a nasty custody battle. Rachel is Emma and Lily's biological mother, but Mike has always been very involved in their lives. Rachel has struggled with some serious issues over the years, including substance abuse, which caused a lot of tension in their marriage. A few months ago, Rachel kicked Emma out of the house because Emma was caught sneaking out and partying. Rachel claims Emma was disrespectful and irresponsible, but Emma said she was just trying to have a normal teenage life. Emma showed up at Mike's door shortly after being kicked out, asking if she could stay with him and Rachel. Mike was torn but decided to let her stay temporarily, hoping things would calm down. However, Rachel refused to have Emma back and demanded Mike take full custody of her. The legal battle escalated quickly, and Mike was trying to support Emma as much as possible. That's where I come in. Mike called me one day, clearly overwhelmed, and asked if Emma could stay with me and Sarah for a while. He said Rachel was refusing to let Emma live anywhere in the family and was making it difficult for Mike to get custody. Mike's work schedule had him traveling constantly, and he thought we could provide Emma with some stability while they sorted out the legal issues. Sarah and I talked it over and agreed that helping out family is important. However, when Emma arrived at our house, it became immediately clear that she was struggling emotionally and behaviorally. She was defiant, sarcastic, and very resistant to any rules or boundaries. She would stay out late, ignore curfews, and sometimes sneak off without telling us where she was going. Sarah, who works in education and has experience with troubled teens, tried to be patient and supportive. She set clear expectations and consequences, but Emma pushed back hard. The tension in the house grew daily. Our younger kids started to feel uneasy, and Sarah and I found ourselves constantly stressed, trying to mediate fights and manage them as outbursts. After about 3 weeks, Sarah came to me and said she didn't think we could handle this anymore. She felt it was too disruptive to our family and that Emma's presence was negatively affecting our kids. I agreed, but I also felt guilty because Mike was relying on us. We talked to Mike and explained the situation honestly. Mike was frustrated and accused us of abandoning Emma when she needed us most. He said that if we couldn't handle it, no one in the family would step up and Emma would be left with nowhere to go. We sympathized, but also told him we needed to protect our own family's well-being. We offered to help Mike find other solutions: counseling for Emma, help from social services, and assistance from community organizations that work with at-risk youth. We also said that if Mike's custody situation changed and he had more stability, we'd be willing to reconsider having Emma stay with us. Mike didn't take it well. He lashed out at Sarah and me, accusing us of being selfish and heartless. Our family gatherings became awkward and strained, with relatives taking sides. Rachel, of course, sided with Mike, calling us uncaring and unsupportive. A few days ago, Mike showed up unannounced at our house with Emma, saying he had no other place for her, that this was temporary. Sarah and I told him firmly that Emma could not stay with us again under these circumstances. Mike got angry, said we were crossing a line, and left with Emma. Since then, the tension has only escalated. Some family members have messaged me privately, calling me the asshole for turning my back on my niece in a tough time. Others have supported my decision, saying that I have a right to set boundaries and protect my immediate family. I've been questioning myself nonstop. I love Emma like family, but I also love my wife and kids and don't want to sacrifice their safety and peace. I'm not sure if I did the right thing or if I should have pushed harder to help Emma, no matter what. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for refusing to let my niece live with us after she was kicked out by her mom? Should I have put my family's comfort aside to support her? Or did I do the right thing by setting boundaries? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she disinvited my husband over a petty argument? My 32F sister, 29F, and I have always had a complicated relationship, but we've generally managed to keep things civil for the sake of family. We grew up in a fairly traditional household, and she has always been the golden child, smart, charismatic, and successful. I, on the other hand, am more introverted and have always felt a little overshadowed by her. Despite that, I've always tried to support her, especially as she planned her wedding. My husband, Jake, 34M, and I have been together for 6 years and married for 3. He's a great guy, kind, funny, and supportive. We share a lot of interests and values, and I genuinely believe he's my soulmate. He's also very easygoing and tries hard to get along with my family, even when things get tense. When my sister got engaged last year, I was happy for her and helped with some of the planning, even though it wasn't always fun. She has very particular ideas about the wedding, and I did my best to accommodate them. However, the problem started when my sister and Jake crossed paths at a small pre-wedding gathering. It all began with something that seems trivial, but quickly escalated. My sister had invited a few close friends and family members for a casual brunch at her apartment. Jake arrived a little late because of work, and when he showed up, my sister had just finished explaining some complicated seating arrangements for the wedding rehearsal dinner. Jake made a joking comment about how the seating chart seemed like a battlefield map and how weddings these days felt more like organizing a corporate meeting than a celebration. My sister took offense to the joke and snapped at him, saying, "If you don't like it, maybe you shouldn't come." Jake apologized, saying he didn't mean to upset anyone, but she wasn't having it. The conversation got a little heated in front of a few other people, and it ended awkwardly. Since then, my sister has been cold toward Jake and has started excluding him from wedding-related events. The biggest blow came when she sent out the official wedding invitation list. Jake's name was nowhere to be found. When I asked her why, she said she didn't want drama at the wedding and that it would be better if Jake didn't attend. I was furious and hurt. I told her that Jake is my husband, and if she wanted me there, he had to be there too. She told me I was being unreasonable and that this was her day, not mine. I tried reasoning with her for weeks, but she remained firm. She even went as far as telling my parents and other family members that Jake was disruptive and that she was doing everyone a favor by keeping him out. This turned some family members against us, making the situation even more isolating. I felt trapped. I love my sister and want to support her, but I can't go to my own sister's wedding without my husband. It feels like she's punishing me for a minor disagreement that got blown out of proportion. So, I told her I wouldn't be attending unless Jake was welcome. She responded by telling me not to come at all if I wasn't bringing him. Now, I'm stuck between choosing my sister or my husband. I've explained this to other family members, and opinions are split. Some say I'm being stubborn and should just go alone for the sake of family peace, while others think my sister is being unreasonable and that I'm right to stand my ground. I don't want to lose my sister, but I also won't attend a day that's supposed to be about love and family without the person I love most. So, AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she disinvited my husband over a petty argument? Hey friends, if you enjoy this content, don't forget to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. We really want to know what you like and what can be improved. What do you think of the video? Are there any topics you'd like to see in future videos? Your feedback really helps us get better. Thanks for being with us. AITA for refusing to give my sister's wedding dress to her after she lost it and demanding she pay for a new one. I, 29F, have always been the go-to person in my family for helping with big events, especially weddings. I've been deeply involved in planning and organizing both of my sister's weddings and my close friends' weddings. I take a lot of pride in the little things that make those days special. However, the story I'm about to share is about my relationship with my younger sister, Emma, 26F, and a serious issue that arose over her wedding dress. Some background. Emma and I have never been super close emotionally. We get along well enough, but we have very different personalities and values. I'm more organized, practical, and a bit of a perfectionist, while Emma is more carefree and, honestly, a bit careless with important stuff. We've had small arguments over the years, mostly about her being irresponsible or forgetful, but nothing major. Fast forward to last year. Emma got engaged, and from the moment she told me, she made it clear she wanted me heavily involved in her wedding. I was excited and agreed to help with everything, including her dress. Emma's budget was tight, so I suggested we look for a second-hand or sample wedding dress, or even consider renting. She initially liked the idea, and we spent weekends browsing options together. Then, she decided she wanted a custom dress made by a local designer she admired. It was an expensive choice, but she said it was her dream dress, and she would find a way to pay for it herself. Since I'm good with organization, I offered to handle all the appointments, fittings, and payments to make it easier for her. She agreed. We started the process about 8 months before the wedding. I coordinated with the designer, scheduled fittings, and kept a spreadsheet with all the details and payments. Emma was mostly hands-off but came to the fittings and tried on the dress when ready. She looked beautiful, and I was happy to see her excited. About 2 months before the wedding, disaster struck. Emma called me in a panic and told me the dress was missing. Apparently, she had taken it home from the designer's studio after the last fitting, but when she went to get it the next day, it was gone. She looked everywhere, asked around, but it was nowhere to be found. She suspected someone had stolen it, or maybe she misplaced it in a storage unit she had rented temporarily. I was shocked and immediately offered to help her retrace steps, call the designer, and check with any possible places where the dress could be. The designer said she never took the dress back and hadn't seen it since Emma collected it. Emma insisted it had to be stolen or lost outside her control. I wasn't convinced. The dress was custom-made, expensive, and only she had handled it since the final fitting. I asked her a lot of questions to figure out what happened, but she kept vague answers and seemed unwilling to accept any responsibility. Here's where things get complicated. The wedding date was rapidly approaching, and Emma didn't have a dress. The designer said making a new dress would cost the full price again, and the timeline was tight. Emma asked me if I could lend her my own wedding dress as a backup. I hesitated because my dress is very special to me, handmade by my grandmother, tailored to my body, and with sentimental value. But after some thought and pressure, I reluctantly agreed, with the condition that she take great care of it and return it immediately after the wedding. Emma seemed grateful and promised to treat it well. The day before the wedding, I delivered the dress to her and gave detailed instructions on how to store and handle it. The wedding day arrived. Emma looked stunning in the dress, and I was happy to see her happy. However, after the reception, I found out from my mom that Emma had spilled wine on my dress during the party. When I got the dress back a week later, it was heavily stained and torn in some areas. It looked like it had been through a disaster, and the cost of repairing it would be enormous. I confronted Emma, and she said it was an accident, and she would pay for the cleaning and repairs. But when I sent her an estimate from a professional conservator, she refused to pay, claiming it was just a dress, and that I should be happy she had it for her big day. I was furious. Not only had she lost her own dress and put me in a tough spot, but she also ruined something deeply meaningful to me and refused to take responsibility. I told her that if she didn't pay for the repairs, I wouldn't lend her anything else in the future, including helping her with any events. The final straw came when she asked me to give her the dress outright, saying she deserved to keep it after everything. I refused, explaining that it's my dress and it means too much to me. She then cut contact with me, claiming I'm being selfish and unreasonable. Now, my parents and other family members are divided. Some say I should forgive Emma because it was an accident and family should stick together. Others agree with me that she needs to take responsibility for losing her dress, ruining mine, and not being willing to compensate me. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to give my sister my wedding dress after she lost hers and damaged mine, and for demanding she pay for the repairs. I feel like I went above and beyond to help her, and she completely took advantage of my kindness. But maybe I'm too harsh. I just want some perspective. AITA for refusing to help my sister after she lost her job and accused me of being selfish. So, this is a bit of a long one, but I'll try to keep it clear and detailed. I, 32M, have a younger sister, Emily, 28F. We've always had a somewhat complicated relationship. Growing up, we were close but also competitive, which sometimes created tension. As adults, we're cordial but not super close. I live in a different city about 4 hours away from her, and we mostly catch up over calls or visits a few times a year. Emily has always struggled with financial stability. She bounced between jobs pretty frequently, never really holding anything long-term, and for a while, she had issues with managing money, debts, and such. I've always tried to help in my own way, usually by offering advice or, on occasion, helping out financially if she was really in a pinch. But I've never felt comfortable just handing her money outright or bailing her out every time. I think it's important to learn to manage your own stuff, even if it's hard. Anyway, about 6 months ago, Emily lost her job at a retail store. She said it was because the management changed and they wanted younger people or something along those lines. I won't lie, I felt a bit skeptical because she'd switched jobs a lot and sometimes didn't seem very committed, but I also felt bad for her. Losing a job is tough. She asked me if I could help her out financially while she looked for another job. I was hesitant, but did send her a small amount to cover immediate expenses. That was the start of a series of conversations that gradually became more demanding. She started asking if she could stay at my place for a while because her rent was overdue and she was facing eviction. I said no. My apartment is small, and I have my own routine and job commitments. I offered to help her look for housing options or maybe find a roommate, but staying with me was not going to work. She got upset and accused me of being unsupportive and selfish. Over the next few weeks, she kept asking for more financial help. I did send some money, but I set boundaries that it was a one-time thing and that she needed to figure out long-term solutions. She was furious about that and said I didn't care about family. I felt frustrated because I was trying to help within reason and felt like she expected me to just keep giving without effort on her part. One day, she called me in tears and said she had nowhere to go. Her landlord was kicking her out the next day, and she begged me to at least let her stay for a few days. I told her again it wasn't possible, explaining my work schedule and how tight my living situation is. I suggested she reach out to local shelters or friends. She responded by saying I was cruel and didn't understand what it's like to be desperate. I didn't respond after that. Fast forward a month, I got a message from our mom saying Emily was staying with her for now, but was very upset with me and claiming I abandoned her when she needed me most. Mom asked me to reconsider helping Emily more. I told her I was doing what I could, but I couldn't sacrifice my own stability. Mom said she understood, but thought I could at least help her find a job or be more emotionally supportive. I did try to help with job leads and checked in with Emily now and then, but she barely responded except to accuse me of being cold and selfish. I felt stuck between wanting to help my sister and not enabling what I saw as irresponsible behavior. I'm not sure if I'm being too harsh or if I'm justified in setting these boundaries. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my sister stay with me and limiting financial help after she lost her job and is struggling. I genuinely want her to get back on her feet, but I also feel like she expects me to solve her problems, and that's not sustainable for me. Thanks for reading. AITA for refusing to let my sister use my house for her wedding after she didn't invite me to hers. I, 33F, have a pretty close-knit family, or at least I thought we were until recently. My sister, Emily, 30F, and I have had a rocky relationship over the years, but I always tried to keep the peace and be supportive. We're very different people. She's very outgoing and the golden child type, while I'm more introverted and tend to keep things low-key. Despite that, I was always happy to help when she needed it. About 6 months ago, Emily got engaged to her fiancé, Mark. They started planning their wedding almost immediately and seemed very excited. I was happy for them and offered to help out in any way I could. When they set the date, I asked when the invitations would go out because I wanted to make sure I could arrange time off work and be there. That's when things started to get weird. The invitations came out, but mine was missing. I thought maybe it was a mistake, so I called Emily to check. She told me that she and Mark decided to keep the wedding very small and family only, but that she thought I might prefer to skip it because she felt I wouldn't enjoy a large party. I was stunned. My own sister had deliberately not invited me to her wedding. I asked if she was joking, but she said no and that I shouldn't be offended. I was hurt, confused, and frankly angry. I called my parents to see if they were invited, and they were, so this wasn't about keeping it small. It felt personal. I confronted Emily again, and she admitted she felt I was too negative and that she didn't want me there to ruin her day. I was crushed. I told her that I didn't want to be around people who thought so little of me, and I decided not to attend. Fast forward to last month. Emily got a little house in the countryside from her in-laws that she has been renovating and mentioned in passing that it would be a great venue for an event. I'm lucky enough to have bought a nice house downtown recently, and it's fairly spacious. I live alone and keep it well maintained. A few weeks ago, Emily called me and asked if she could use my house for a small gathering she was planning. It turned out that the gathering was her wedding reception for friends and extended family who weren't invited to the actual wedding ceremony. She said that the reception would be more relaxed and that she thought it was fair to celebrate with people who didn't make the wedding list. She said she wanted to keep the guest list manageable, so the wedding ceremony was super small, but the reception would be bigger. Here's where it got weird. She asked if I could host it at my house. I was taken aback. After not inviting me to her wedding because she didn't want me there, she was now asking to use my house for her celebration. I said I needed time to think about it. When I brought it up with my parents, they were split. My mom thought I should say yes to keep the peace, but my dad said I had every right to say no given how Emily treated me. I decided to decline. I told Emily that after how she excluded me from the wedding and her reasoning behind it, I didn't feel comfortable hosting her wedding reception. Emily immediately went on the offensive, accusing me of being petty and vindictive. She said I was holding a grudge and that I should grow up. She told me that my refusal was selfish and that I was hurting not just her, but the rest of the family. The family drama escalated quickly. Emily stopped talking to me altogether and started telling everyone that I was being unreasonable and unkind. Several family members reached out to me, asking me to reconsider. I stood firm. I feel like she hurt me deeply by excluding me from her wedding, and now she wants to use my space as if that pain never happened. My friends mostly say I'm justified, but some warn that family is complicated and that I should try to make peace. I'm torn because while I want to move past this, I also don't want to be walked over or made to feel like I don't matter. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my sister use my house for her wedding reception after she excluded me from the wedding ceremony. AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of her fiancé's behavior. This is a long one, so bear with me. I, 29F, have always been close with my sister, 31F, even though we have very different personalities. She's outgoing, loves social events, and has always been the life of the party. I'm more introverted and value my personal boundaries a lot, but I've supported her through many phases of her life, including her past relationships. We've always managed to stay connected despite our differences. About 6 months ago, she introduced us to her new fiancé, Mark, 33M. At first, I was happy for her because she seemed genuinely happy and excited. But very quickly, I noticed some red flags in how he interacted with me and others around him. At the first family dinner we had after their engagement announcement, Mark made several awkward comments about my job. I work in a quiet, behind-the-scenes role in nonprofit, which is something I'm proud of, but he openly joked about how boring it was and asked if I ever actually did any real work. I brushed it off as bad humor, but my sister didn't seem to defend me or say much. I felt a little dismissed, but I didn't want to rock the boat. Over the next few months, the pattern got worse. Mark would interrupt me when I spoke, dismiss my opinions during conversations, and occasionally make passive-aggressive remarks about my lifestyle. For example, he once commented on my lack of social media presence, implying I was out of touch. I generally keep a low profile online, and it's a personal choice, but he made it sound like I was some kind of weirdo for it. The worst incident happened a few weeks ago during a weekend family get-together at my parents' house. Mark arrived late and seemed visibly irritated that people were chatting in the living room instead of waiting for him. He immediately launched into a criticism of how disorganized the gathering was, telling my mom that she should have planned it better. Later, when I tried to engage him in conversation, he told me outright that he found my quietness exhausting and suggested I should try to be more fun for the sake of family events. I was stunned because I had done nothing but be polite and friendly. When I mentioned this to my sister privately afterward, she said I was overreacting and that Mark was just blunt and didn't mean anything by it. That's when I started to realize how little my sister seemed to be standing up for me or setting boundaries with Mark. I mentioned to a close friend that I was feeling sidelined and disrespected by my future brother-in-law, and she said that it sounded like he was deliberately trying to assert dominance and control. Fast forward to now, my sister's wedding is scheduled for next month, and I was initially excited to attend and celebrate with her. But after the last couple of interactions with Mark, I told her I wasn't comfortable being around him and didn't think I could be a part of the wedding. She was furious. She called me selfish and said I was creating unnecessary drama right before her big day. She accused me of trying to sabotage her happiness because I was jealous or didn't want her to move on. I tried to explain my perspective, that it wasn't about jealousy, but about my boundaries and feeling disrespected, but she wouldn't hear it. The rest of my family is divided. My parents want me to attend for the sake of family unity and to support my sister, but my younger brother told me he understood why I wouldn't want to be around Mark because he's seen how rude and condescending he can be. Some cousins have said they're upset, I'm causing drama, and think I should just get over it for one day. I feel stuck. I want to be there for my sister, but I also don't want to pretend everything is fine when it clearly isn't. I don't think I'm wrong for wanting to protect myself from someone who has been consistently dismissive and hurtful. But I also wonder if I'm being too rigid or harsh by refusing to attend the wedding. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding because of her fiancé's behavior? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because of how she treated my mental health struggles? This whole situation has been tearing me apart for months, and I'm honestly conflicted but feel like I need to stand my ground. I'm 29F, and my sister is 32F. We grew up close, but over the past few years, things between us have gotten tense, mostly due to how she's handled my mental health issues. A little background. I've battled anxiety and depression since my early 20s. It's been a rough road, but I've been in therapy for about 5 years and recently started medication that's helping a lot. I'm stable now, working a full-time job, and doing my best to manage my mental health. I've shared my struggles with my family, including my sister, hoping they'd understand and support me. My parents have been okay with it, but my sister has always been more dismissive. About a year ago, my sister got engaged. At first, I was genuinely happy for her and tried to help with wedding plans whenever I could. But as the date drew closer, I started noticing how she treated me around the topic of her wedding and my mental health. It began with small comments. When I mentioned feeling anxious about attending certain social events related to the wedding, she'd say things like, "You just need to push through it, it's not that hard," or "Why do you always have to make everything about your anxiety?" Sometimes she'd roll her eyes or make jokes that felt like digs, like, "Maybe your meds need an upgrade if you can't handle a party." One of the worst moments was during a dress fitting. She invited me to come along, but when I asked if I could bring my therapist note to excuse me from standing for too long, which she requested because of my health issues, she snapped, "You're using that as an excuse to be lazy. Stop being dramatic." I was shocked and embarrassed, and I left early. Over time, the wedding events became a minefield. Bridal showers, bachelorette parties, rehearsal dinners. She expected me to attend everything and be perfectly normal. When I declined some events because I needed rest or therapy appointments, she accused me of being selfish and making her day about me. She even said in front of some family members that she didn't want a downer at her wedding. A couple of months ago, the final straw happened. She asked me to be a bridesmaid. I was hesitant because of everything, but I said yes, hoping maybe she would be more understanding. Then came the bridesmaid dress drama. The dress was expensive and uncomfortable, and when I explained I couldn't wear it for long because of anxiety and sensory issues, she got furious. She told me that if I couldn't handle being a bridesmaid, I should just back out. That night, I broke down and told her I couldn't do it. I explained everything, the stress, the anxiety, the way her words made me feel. Instead of apologizing or trying to understand, she accused me of ruining her special moments and being selfish as usual. I haven't spoken to her since. Now, the wedding is in 2 weeks, and she's told our parents she doesn't want me there. She's made it clear she feels I'm a burden and that my mental health struggles have become too much for her to handle. Our parents are upset with me for not trying hard enough to be part of the family and for making things worse. They say I'm being unreasonable by refusing to attend the wedding at all. I don't know what to do. On one hand, I want to be there for my sister, but on the other, I can't be around someone who belittles my health and makes me feel like a problem. I've tried to explain how her words and behavior have hurt me, but she refuses to see it. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to go to my sister's wedding because of how she's treated my mental health struggles. AITA for refusing to let my sister's boyfriend stay at my house after he verbally attacked me and my kids. So, this is a long one, and I'm still processing everything that happened. I, 34F, have 2 kids, ages 6 and 9. I live in a modest but comfortable 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. My younger sister, Emma, 29F, has been dating this guy, Jake, 32M, for about 6 months. I met him a handful of times, and to be honest, I didn't think much of him. He seemed a little rude, but I chalked it up to first impressions and hoped he'd grow on me. The issue started last weekend when Emma and Jake came over to celebrate my younger son's birthday. We had a small party planned with family and a few friends, nothing crazy. Jake arrived late and was immediately a bit tense. He barely said hi, and when my kids tried to talk to him or show him the decorations, he gave curt answers and seemed annoyed. I thought maybe he was having a rough day. After the party started winding down, Jake and I ended up in the living room while Emma was busy with the kids. I tried to make conversation, but he kept giving one-word answers and sighing loudly. At one point, I asked if everything was okay because he seemed off, and he snapped, "Maybe if your kids were quieter, I wouldn't be on edge." I was taken aback, but I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe he was just stressed. Then things escalated quickly. My older son, who has mild sensory issues, was playing a bit loud with a toy truck. Jake told him to shut up in a harsh tone, which made my son freeze and start crying. I told Jake to please watch his language and to be more understanding, especially around kids. Jake then turned to me and said, "Maybe if you disciplined your kids better, they wouldn't act like wild animals." I was furious, but tried to keep my composure for the sake of the kids. Emma overheard the exchange and tried to defend Jake, saying he didn't mean it like that. I told Emma that Jake's behavior was unacceptable and that if he couldn't respect my family and my home, he wasn't welcome here. Emma looked upset, but didn't say much. We ended the night shortly after. The real problem started the next day. Emma called me, upset, saying Jake wanted to talk and apologize. I agreed to let him come over, hoping we could clear the air. When Jake arrived, I tried to stay calm, but he immediately started blaming me for making him look bad in front of Emma and accusing me of being overprotective and controlling. Then, out of nowhere, he started bringing up personal stuff about me and my parenting that he had no business commenting on. He said things like, "You're not a real mother if you let your kids run your house," and "You probably never had a real relationship, so you don't understand adult conversations." I was shocked and told him to leave. He refused and kept talking trash. Emma was mortified and tried to get him to calm down, but he kept pushing until I finally told Emma I was calling the police if Jake didn't leave. He stormed out, cursing at both of us. Since then, Emma has been blowing up my phone, saying I'm being unreasonable and that Jake is stressed because he's dealing with work issues. She says I should apologize for overreacting and that I'm putting my kids before her happiness. She also implied that I'm jealous because I don't have a boyfriend. I've told her I don't want Jake in my house anymore, especially after the way he treated my kids and me. I offered to meet her somewhere neutral to talk, but she said no, and she's been distant since. I'm starting to feel guilty because I don't want to lose my sister over this, but I also feel like I'm protecting my family. I'm not sure if I was too harsh or if I'm justified in not wanting him around. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my sister's boyfriend stay at my house after he verbally attacked me and my kids. AITA for refusing to give my sister a place to stay after she burned bridges with the entire family and came to me in a crisis. I, 32F, have always been the responsible one in my family, or at least that's how I was raised to believe. I'm a teacher with a stable job, own a modest apartment in a decent neighborhood, and have a decent amount saved up. My sister, Claire, 28F, on the other hand, has been a bit of a free spirit, if that's a polite way of putting it. She's had a string of odd jobs, relationships, and a general tendency to burn bridges with family and friends alike. Our parents divorced when we were kids, and Claire always had a rougher time with it than I did. She got rebellious and often acted out, which put a lot of strain on our family dynamic. I stayed quiet, tried to stay out of trouble, and eventually went off to college and got my teaching degree. Claire drifted from one thing to another, sometimes asking for help, sometimes ignoring it entirely. Fast forward to about a year ago, Claire had a falling out with our parents. From what I gather, it was a big argument that ended with her leaving their house in tears and cutting off contact. The details are hazy because our parents don't talk about it much, but it seems Claire accused them of not supporting her lifestyle choices, and things escalated quickly. After that, Claire moved in with a friend who was unfortunately unreliable and ended up evicting her. She bounced from couch to couch, never telling me much about where she was or what was going on. I did try reaching out a few times, but every time I called or texted, she was either evasive or didn't respond. Last month, things hit a breaking point. I got a call from Claire in the middle of the night. She was crying and said she had nowhere left to go. She'd been kicked out of her latest temporary living situation after a dispute. She begged me to let her stay with me for a while. She promised it would only be a few weeks, that she was working on getting a more permanent job in place. I was hesitant, but felt guilty hearing her so desperate, so I agreed. Claire moved in. At first, things were okay. She was quiet and kept to herself, but I was still supportive. I gave her some advice on job hunting, helped with some resumes, and tried to be understanding. But then things started to unravel quickly. Claire never seemed to get up early for interviews, or she'd cancel at the last minute. She spent most days sleeping or scrolling on her phone. She would occasionally hang out with friends late into the night, sometimes coming home at 3 or 4 a.m. She didn't chip in for groceries or utilities. When I asked about contributing, she got defensive and said I was being unfair, that she was doing her best. Then she started inviting people over without telling me. One night, a group of her friends came over, and the noise woke me up several times. I work early mornings, so I asked her to keep it down and be more considerate. She said I was being controlling and accused me of not trusting her. Our relationship started to feel strained. I felt like a landlord, not a sister. I wanted to help, but it felt like she was taking advantage of me. One day, after I asked her again to start looking for work seriously and contributing to the household, she snapped. She told me she didn't appreciate being treated like a second-class citizen in my home, that she felt unwanted and like a failure. She accused me of being cold and judgmental. A week later, I told her I thought it would be best if she found somewhere else to stay. She got upset, saying I was abandoning her in her time of need, that family should support each other no matter what. I argued that I had supported her as much as I could and that she needed to take responsibility for her life. Now, Claire is refusing to talk to me. She's told other family members that I kicked her out without giving her a chance and that I'm selfish for not helping her more. Some relatives are siding with her, saying I should have been more understanding and that family means always being there, no matter what. I feel torn. I want to help my sister, but I also feel like I've been taken advantage of. I'm worried that if I keep letting her stay, it will hurt both of us in the long run. Am I the asshole for refusing to keep her in my home? AITA for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she demanded I apologize for a private family disagreement? This has been a huge source of tension in my family, and I'm still trying to figure out if I'm the asshole here or not. I'll try to give all the necessary background to help understand the situation. I, 28F, have always been close with my younger sister, Lily, 25F. Growing up, we were inseparable and shared a lot with each other. But as we got older, our personalities started to diverge quite a bit. I'm more reserved and logical, while she's very emotional and dramatic. It's never caused major fights, but it definitely influences how we interact. A few months ago, our parents threw a surprise birthday party for Lily. We had a great time, but during the party, Lily made a passing comment about how our parents favored me over her when we were kids, which I disagreed with. That led to a heated argument between the two of us, right in front of the whole family. It was uncomfortable, but eventually we both cooled down. I thought it was just a family squabble that would blow over in a few days. Turns out it didn't. Lily has always felt a bit overshadowed by me. I graduated college with honors, got a stable job, and have generally been seen as the successful sibling. She, on the other hand, struggled with her own path, switching careers multiple times and often feeling uncertain about what she wanted. I've always tried to be supportive, but apparently, she felt I never really understood her. After the birthday party incident, things between us got colder. Lily started texting me less, and when we did talk, it was awkward. Then, out of nowhere, she sent me a long message demanding I apologize for invalidating her feelings and damaging our family's dynamic. She said my refusal to agree that our parents favored me was hurtful and that I was being selfish. I was taken aback because I never intended to hurt her. I thought I was just defending my own experiences and perspective. I responded that I wouldn't apologize for simply having a different viewpoint, especially since I hadn't insulted her or our parents in any way. This is where it escalated. A few weeks after this exchange, Lily announced her wedding date. It's a big deal for the whole family, and everyone was excited. But a couple of days before the invitation was sent out, Lily called me. She said she couldn't move past what happened and that before I could be part of her special day, I needed to give a sincere apology for how I dismissed her feelings and hurt the family. I told her I wouldn't apologize for something I don't believe I did wrong. I offered to talk it through in person or over the phone to try and mend things, but she said it wasn't about conversation anymore. It was about accountability. She made it clear that if I didn't apologize, she wouldn't invite me to the wedding. This put me in an incredibly difficult spot. I love my sister and I want to be part of her wedding. But at the same time, I feel like she's asking me to apologize for having my own perspective on a personal family matter, and that doesn't feel fair or genuine. I'm not going to fake an apology just to get a seat at her wedding. We haven't spoken since that call. I told my parents what happened, and they're upset with both of us, but seem to lean more towards supporting Lily's stance, saying I should consider apologizing to keep the peace. My friends are divided. Some say I should just apologize to make things easier, while others say Lily is being unreasonable. I'm planning to decline the wedding invitation if it comes, and honestly, I'm already preparing myself for the fallout. My question is, am I the asshole for refusing to apologize and choosing not to attend my sister's wedding over this? Or is Lily wrong to make an apology a condition for family inclusion at her wedding? I want to fix this, but I also want to stand by my truth. It's tearing me up inside, and I'm hoping for some clarity here. Thank you for watching until the end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new videos also. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Your support and engagement mean a lot to me. See you in the next video.